Bo Nickel suffers his first defeat as an MMA fighter. Has he been fraud checked by Derrida? Also, Sanhagen cements himself as the number one contender for the bantamweight title after the next fight between O'Malley and Marab, and much more. It's MMA Monday Live. People, smash that like button, subscribe. Let's get into it. Yes, lovely people. I hope you're well. Do smash that like button, subscribe on the road to 7,000 subs and looking to get there ASAP. Right, let's start with the main event. And Corey Sanhagen looked fantastic against Davison Figeredo. Obviously, the way the fight ended was a little bit gruesome. Figeredo looked as though he's torn his ACL, maybe his meniscus as well. However, it wasn't a freak injury. It was Corey Sanhagen maneuvering, lifting himself up while Figeredo's leg was caught. And that's when the injury happened. However, Figeredo was being dominated at that point by Sanhagen, and the victory looked as though it was on the way to happening regardless. This isn't a fluke win by any stretch of the imagination. This is a fantastic win by Corey Sanhagen. And for me, surely this cements him as the number one contender for Marab versus O'Malley. I mean, I think this fight should have been the number one contender for Marab's title and the next fight, but obviously Marab and Sean, they agreed for a fight. The UFC have given Sean a rematch. Is it deserved? No, in my opinion. But look, Sean might still get that win, and then we're all sitting there going Sanhagen versus O'Malley. I think Marab will get the job done again. Marab versus Sanhagen is a fight we haven't seen in the bantamweight division, a fight that we want to see. And let's be real, Sanhagen is probably the best fighter so far to not have fought for an undisputed title. He's fought for an interim belt against Peter Yan and came up short in a fight that was phenomenal as well, by the way. I now want to see him fight against either Sugar Sean O'Malley or Marab for the main version and the undisputed version of the bantamweight title, and he absolutely deserves it. That was a fantastic performance against a dangerous opponent in Figeredo. I hope Figeredo recovers quickly. He's a fantastic addition to the bantamweight division after coming up from 125 pounds. And it's a shame that the fight ended for him the way it did with the injury. It's going to be a long layoff for him, rehabilitation, etc. Probably going to be out for about a year. Could see his ranking drop, etc., etc. However, when he does come back, I hope he comes back fit, firing, and is in some big fights as well. This is 2 losses on the bounce for him, but 2 losses to elite fighters in Petr Yan and now Corey Sanhagen. So we'll see what happens next with Figeredo. For Sanhagen, it's got to be a title shot next. It has to be. Then we saw what many people considered an upset. And I say this with the greatest of respect. Anyone who watches MMA outside of the UFC will know this isn't an upset. So the question on the thumbnail is, has Nikal been fraud checked? And the answer is no. And the reason I say he's not been fraud checked is because he didn't lose to a scrub. He lost to a guy who in a previous promotion at ONE FC was a 2-weight champion. He lost to a guy who's come over to the UFC at 185 pounds, just destroyed Kevin Holland, and now he's beaten Bo Nickel, who's got way less experience as an MMA fighter than Kevin Holland. You cannot just be a wrestler anymore and get your way to the top in the UFC. You have to have more to your game. And unfortunately, Bo hasn't rounded out his game enough. And I'll be honest, he was thrown to the wolves for this fight. He was never going to win this fight, with all due respect. Derrida can wrestle, he can stop takedowns, and he's a demon on the ground. Pause. He's got brilliant jiu-jitsu on the ground. Like, he was thrown to the wall. This isn't a fraud check. This is just him coming up against a better opponent and losing. But he still has a bright future, but he has to round out his game. And he's that American top team. You'd imagine they do round out his game. Because you look at someone like Poirier, who was just predominantly a striker and then obviously became a very good at jiu-jitsu, good with his wrestling as well. Poirier is a very well-rounded fighter. You look at Masvidal, obviously always relied on his striking, but we saw him against Darren Till and Cowboy Cerrone. He was able to take those guys down and change the dynamic of the fight, use wrestling to offset his opponents, and then a lot of the time he'd finish people with striking. American top team is a great place for Bo Nickal to develop. However, I don't think this was great matchmaking on his behalf. In terms of what he's been saying, though, he's saying how, he'd destroy Hamzat and he'd run through a lot of the guys in the top 15. I wouldn't say he's been fraud checked, but he's definitely been humbled. If this doesn't humble Bo and he doesn't get his act together and doesn't start rounding out his game, then I'll be honest, unfortunately, it's not going to end well for him, in my opinion. So I think this was a good thing for Bo in the long run if he works on himself and then goes to the next level. If he doesn't do those things, then it could be the start of a slide for him. I want to big up some people in the chat. Shout out to Football with Ends. Go and subscribe to his channel. Shout out to my Sabozlai bro, Andre. Shout out to Zakir and shout out to Skits as well. Hope you're all well. Do smash that like button. I also want to speak about Miesha Tate. She came up short again in another fight. Unfortunately, Miesha Tate suffered yet another loss. Imran, if you're watching, look away now. But yeah, I hate calling for fighters to retire. And look, Miesha's not getting hurt in any of these fights. Thankfully, she's losing the fight, but she's not getting beaten up or really hurt. I would like to potentially see her walk away though. Like, she's accomplished so much. I don't want her to just be a gatekeeper now. She's accomplished so much. She's a pioneer of not just women's MMA, but MMA. She's a pioneer. You think of her feud with Ronda Rousey. You think of how she won the belt against Holly Holm. Like, she's like an amazing contribution to MMA, full stop. Not just women's MMA, just MMA, full stop. I don't want to see her continue to fight and continue to lose. I don't think it's good for her. I don't think it's good for MMA. So I'm not telling Miesha to retire, but I am saying it'd be nice to see her walk away with all of her faculties, rich, as well as being a legend in the game. I don't want to stick her around long enough where people start to diminish her legacy. And I think that could potentially happen if she continues to fight. But again, good win for her opponent. And if Miesha does have another fight in her, hopefully it's a favorable fight and she can do that. She can win and then maybe lay the gloves down in the middle of the cage and go off into the sunset and enjoy the rest of her life with, I believe, her husband, not Imran, but her actual husband. And look back on a fantastic career as well. Also, on the fight card was Rodriguez beating Ponzinibbio. Very big win for Rodriguez. Ponzinibbio has been a tough fight for most people, especially at this level, and he did really well. Got the finish in the early in the third round via TKO. And look, it was a good fight night card. It really was. Jeremy Stephens versus Mason Jones. What a fight that was, man. I mean, Jeremy Stephens lost, but bloody hell, what a fight. Like, Jones from Wales as well. Jones looked like he could be a problem at lightweight. And again, it's worth noting that Jeremy Stephens was doing BKFC at lightweight, but he primarily fought at 145 pounds in the UFC. So jumping up a weight, especially for your first fight back against Mason Jones, was a tough ask, but what a fight. Jeremy Stephens, man. No one can doubt that guy's toughness and that guy's heart. Like, you got to put him out to stop him. The guy's a warrior, man. Like, by the truest definition of fighter's fighter. Big up Jeremy Stephens, but also Mason Jones, what a victory for him as well. And look, his face might have been cut up and bruised up, but he'll wake up today feeling absolutely amazing because he fought amazing and gave a great account of himself. Shout out to Sergeant Yarrison. Says, yo, Cal, you said you trained at BJJ, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. What's your belt? I didn't train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I did traditional Jiu-Jitsu, which incorporates takedowns as well as techniques on the ground. I got up to green and then stopped when just after Stevie was. No, I stopped during COVID. I stopped just before COVID, so not long after Stevie was born. It's my oldest son. So I stopped just at the beginning of COVID and I haven't gone back since. However, I am planning on going back. My son is going to be 6 this month. I've already spoken to my jiu-jitsu coach, my sensei, and he said he'd be happy to train my little one, providing that he's ready for it. And if he goes, I'll go as well. So if I do go back to well, I say no. I'm going to say when I go back to jiu-jitsu, I will also document some stuff there. You'll see me getting absolutely ragdolled by my coach and probably some other people in the class. But it's all learning, right? So I can't speak about any MMA and training if I haven't shown you guys some of my training. So yeah, that'd be quite fun to document some of that stuff on the show as well. And you guys see me getting tapped out potentially. So I'm sure you guys will enjoy that. But yeah, I got up to green belt. And hopefully we'll continue on my journey and get some more belts around my waist going forward, and hopefully my sons will as well. And then when my daughter's old enough, I'll be bringing her to jiu-jitsu as well, getting the whole family trained up. People, it was a short one today. Me, Jamie, and Luke are back later on tonight. So on Tuesday, we'll be back for Combat Catch-Up. We'll be speaking about the upcoming pay-per-view and other topics in MMA as well. I'm heading over right now to the Big Six Bants channel with Monts to speak about the situation with Trent, etc. So do join me over there. Big up to each and every one of you who have watched and listened. Smash that like button and subscribe. My name is Callum. This is the Sanderson Show. Mind how you go, people. Take care.